Now, during their EU summit last week right here in Brussels, European leaders were clear that this was not their war. In a statement, they called for, quote, de-escalation, maximum restraint, the protection of civilians and full respect of international law by all parties. Euronews' EU editor Maria Tadeo had the chance to get the view from Israel on this by speaking to the former Israeli Prime Minister, de Bennett. She asked him how he qualified this reaction from European leaders.
You know, it's a bit cowardly. We are fighting their war. I'll tell you why. Iran shot 2 missiles to Diego Garcia, which is almost 4,000 kilometers from Iran. That's a range that reaches Brussels, that reaches Madrid, that reaches Paris. And we, in fact, had we not acted, all of Europe would be under a terrible nuclear ballistic missile menace. So we're fighting your war, and we expect not to be, criticized in and on, but we expect your backing. That would be the decent thing to do. But we get it. We have to do the hard job. We're used to it, and we'll do what's right.
But let me pick up on that point. So at this point, you'd say the reaction from the Europeans is that they are cowards.
Many, not everyone. Some European countries have stepped up to the plate, but many others.
Like who?
I'm not going to name names. I think you know exactly who. I think any European leader who sort of says, this isn't our problem. So when will it become your problem? When they have a nuclear weapon? When the missile is on its way to Madrid? When it hits Madrid or Barcelona? Is that when you're going to wake up? So we're doing the fighting. We didn't ask you for any help, nothing. All we're doing is fighting against this horrible radical Islamist menace. We're reducing and hopefully eliminating this threat. And instead of thanking us, you're criticizing us. I mean, what's the deal there?
Well, since you mentioned Madrid, of course, there's other governments led by the Spanish government that say this war is entirely illegal and, by the way, has destroyed any sort of diplomacy in the Middle East. Is that fair criticism?
No, it's just foolish criticism. Spain's leadership has been just abhorrent, I have to say. Incredibly disappointing. Because here's how it works. If you allow a threat to grow and grow, at some point it becomes so big that you can't manage the threat anymore. Like North Korea, where the world did not act, and now no one can take care and eliminate those nuclear weapons. Like Hitler, who became so big and everyone wanted to avoid war until it was too late. So this time we acted on time.
But what about when a U.S. top official resigns because he says there was no imminent threat to the U.S.?
Regarding that guy who quit, well, he's a schmuck. I don't care about him. He's irrelevant. He's going to go down in the dustbin of history. We're fighting the most just war ever, and we should be getting your backing and not your criticism.
We've seen the president of the U.S. now seems to want to make a deal. He suggests it's 5 days still of talks, and he says the Iranians wants to make a deal. The U.S. also wants to make a deal. What about Israel? Is a deal a good thing for Israel at this point?
It depends. We have objectives. Our objective is to totally dismantle the nuclear program and ensure they never achieve a nuclear weapon. Same with the ballistic missiles, and same with dismantling the terror proxies. So we have to see what the deal is. If it achieves those goals, that's wonderful.
Okay, and this is my final question, however, and it is the question at this point. What happens if the U.S. decides this war is over for us? We leave now. Goals have been met, but Israel considers no. Those 3 key goals have not been met. Will you go on fighting alone without the support of the U.S.?
We're going to have to take a look at the actual results if this indeed turns into a full-blown agreement, and then we'll make our decisions.
Based on those points, and what are those points? Are you working in tandem with the U.S.? That is really the question, because it seems from the outside, Israel believes this is not going to get done in a week. The U.S. is now talking about a 5-day until Friday. That's a big gap in the timeline.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Our objectives are to dismantle the nuclear and ballistic programs, dismantle the global terror proxy network.